Hey Shogun Warriors, I'm doing a little thing different for comic reviews. I'm going to try and maybe do this. I'm going to review what I picked up this week, as well as telling you what my pick of the week is. Now, what did I pick up this week? Let's take a look. I bought Champions number 5, Justice League number 23, let's see, Marvel Team Up, SpiderMan Ms Marvel number 2, Young Justice 5, the tie-in to Hunted, 20 plus, with Amazing Spider-Man, and I picked up this Year of the Villain, 25 cents. I imagine it's supposed to be a free comic book day thing, but they decided to put it out a few days early and charge you 25 cents, which is great. Like, oh man, cool. Let's get started with Champions number 5, and this is interesting. This picks up where the story had left off with Miles and his deal with Mephisto that didn't go quite right. For those of you who are not in the know, they did a issue where in a battle in Dubai, Ms Marvel and Viv get killed, and Mephisto says, "Hey, I don't like take your soul, but I can arrange it where you can have that moment back so you can save Ms Marvel and Viv." And he goes, "Well, obviously, I'll take that." But unfortunately, it cost the life of someone else he was busy saving at that moment they got killed. So he's feeling pretty bad about it. So he's kind of like taking a break. He's actually talking to the mother, the woman who died, and they're having a real authentic chat here. I like the dialogue here. He is still suffering from the guilt of this, and I mean, it just builds off the guilt he suffered a few issues ago when his school was attacked by a mass shooter and he wasn't there, and he's once again feeling those hard bits of guilt. He is a Spider-Man after all, isn't he? Meanwhile, everybody's kind of tied up in this whole War of the Realms thing, where they're fighting off frost giants and such. And Ms Marvel is feeling not too great herself because she is now the leader. She's expanded the team. Everything's great, right? Well, the main members that she formed the team with are kind of taken off. Miles is going through his thing. Braun has taken off. Let's see. Nova has gone off with one of his villains to see if he could get his powers back. Nadia is having a crisis. You need to read Unstoppable Wasp to see what that's about. And Ironheart has disappeared because she has some kind of thing going on with Viv. Spoiler alert, Viv is really attracted to Ironheart, and that's making her super uncomfortable. Like, hey, this lady robot wants to bang me. I'm gonna be over here. So yeah, she's kind of uncomfortable about that. So she's feeling like, hey, at the moment where I should feel like I'm really accomplished of the things I wanted to do, the heart of the team is kind of gone. It's been pulled out, which is kind of what Mephisto was kind of, partly planning, actually. Lo and behold, we run into Cyclops, adult Cyclops, who is back to life because it's comic books, and he actually sees that the champions are in trouble and jumps in, which is great. He has this moment where he yells, "To be my champions," and kind of rallies them together, and has Ms Marvel sees this and gets really kind of like pumped up and inspired. She has a conversation with him and telling him like, hey, look, this is gonna be weird, but a younger alternative you and I were friends and we formed the champions together. And he tells her, I know, I remember, and I'll never forget that we were champions. And it's extremely touching moment. So look, Cyclops has been through a lot, in and out of universe, and whatever you say about the character, Kamala's friendship was with the young, confused, and troubled Scott, and they helped put the team together, and they were pretty tight. Now, we have this moment, and it's actually really beautiful. Also, Dust hasn't officially joined the team. I thought she had, but I guess she hadn't. And she has this nice conversation with Cyclops about it. And then she talks to Ms. Marvel about it, and she officially does join in the team. It's a really wonderful piece. Well, we're still continuing on with her plots out of the War Realms and with this book. And also, we touch on a little bit what's going on with the X books, too. Not bad. Not exactly a one and done, but, it continues the plot pretty well. I like Dust joining the team as a regular member. And I'm very curious as how her and Ms. Marvel get along. I feel like they're going to be there for each other. I like the potential of this. This is really cool. I'm going to give this, I'm going to give that a pretty good 4 out of 5 RAM chips. Good issue. Good solid issue. It's worth picking up. Let's go to Amazing Spider-Man 20 HU. I guess that's what they're called. Anyway, we get Adrian Toombs' side of what's been going on. This is from Nick Spencer and Corey Smith. And we see, he's been really kind of pissed off about essentially being suckered into this whole trap, and how he's kind of trying to do what he can to make it his own. That's when he's brought in by Arcade himself and says, hey, this is what's been happening. Sorry, it's nothing personal. I know you're mad about Kraven, who's kind of betrayed you in this way. Because, they had worked together a lot, so he did kind of feel comfortable with him. So he tells him, hey, here's this little doohickey that does damage to the robots. There's not many of them, but this can get you in a good position. And then, of course, we see Adrian go all in, and this kind of helps him kind of rally the troops of the villains that have been being chased around by, the robots. Yeah, and that was actually Kraven's plan all along. They haven't, Nick Spencer hasn't revealed everything that he's got going on here, but, Kraven has a real bloodbath in mind for this plot. There's also a backup of how Vermin became a whole army of vermin. It's a little disturbing. So this issue isn't too dramatically important, but I think it is worth picking up. I'll be honest, this Hunted thing is interesting enough. I'd probably just pick up every issue. I don't know if there's a missable one, really. There's the HU ones, the extra ones, are okay. I don't think you need them, but I think they do kind of add a little bit. I'm going to give this one probably 3 out of 5 RAM chips. I think it's worth picking up if you're really into this story, but I mean, if you miss it, I think you could probably pick up. Now, let's go to this one. Let's do this. This is Year of the Villain, and this is a one-shot, only 25 cents. Man, that got me excited. That reminded me of being a kid and picking up comics for 50 cents. I'm not old enough to enjoy comics when they were 25 cents or even 35 cents. But 50 cents was my earliest. And boy, I don't know. When you get to that cheap, I feel like, just rolling the thing up and going to 7-Eleven, getting a Slurpee, and yeah, it's good. So, hey, what is this anyway? It's a collection of vignettes written by some heavy hitters here: Scott Snyder, Brian Michael Bendis, James Tynion, essentially kind of laying out some of the groundwork of what they're going to be doing. I have a feeling we're probably going to see these chapters in issues. They don't seem to be too standalone-ish, or maybe they will be. Essentially, it starts off with Lex Luthor, who's essentially, he has come and done, I wouldn't say a coup at the White House, but a statement. He's attacked the White House with his buddies here. Amanda Waller asks, where's the president? And he said something along the lines of, he is, let's see, don't worry, he's just stunned. And he's not, in this immediate scene. If Trump is the president in DC Universe, they could be doing this before 11 a.m., and he's probably still in bed, so, they got some time. But what they don't have is the clout anymore to kind of I mean, Luthor has basically just signed away his whole company. And he has gone on to being a supervillain full time. No more of this pretending to be an evil corporate guy who's really secretly like an evil supervillain. He's decided to go all the way into supervillainy by completely breaking down his wealth, and he's going to be funding like all of the DC villains from now on. There's this funny, there's this funny scene where he's walking into his headquarters and he's telling Mercy, tell everyone they're fired and they have to be out of the building in 5 minutes or they're dead. Granted, as CEOs go, he's not that bad. But, question, this is a big building. Like, let's say you're on the 80th floor. How do you get out of the building in 5 minutes? Does he mean, like, you have to be leaving in 5 minutes? Or you have to be on the street in 5 minutes? Because, you know what, that ain't a lot. I know you're evil, but, I mean, come on, be realistic. It's a nice kind of jump into whatever we're going to be doing with this. Of course, I've been following Justice League, so Luthor's all in on whatever he's doing. Okay, now we go to Brian Michael Bendis and let's see, Alex Mabey, and they're back. They have a Green Arrow and Barbara Gordon story where they're taking on Merlin, and Barbara is whisked away, and she's been given an offer from a mysterious guy from Leviathan. He talks about her being Oracle and all that stuff. And we cut back to the Batcave where Damian goes, hey, you know what? I can't prove this, but I think Jason Todd is part of Leviathan. I know I can't prove it, but it's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm curious as to see where we're going with that. Now, I've always been a big fan of making Barbara Oracle. And you know what? You can give her legs back. She can still be Oracle. That was never, to me, confusing or a problem. But I don't know. We'll see what this is going on. And then, of course, we have this quick Justice League one, very quick story where the Justice League are essentially kind of going, hey, man, this is a big mess here. Maybe we should just bring in everybody. So yeah, whatever these guys have got planned for the next year, it seems like all the villains and heroes are going to war. And it's a nice kind of like, simple kind of one shot to kind of get you in the flavor of what's going on. So not bad. I've rather dug this. I think it's 25 cents. It's worth picking up. I'd say probably 4 out of 5 ram chips. Young Justice. We're back with Brian Michael Bendis and his quest to forget the last 15 years of DC. And that's it's not bad. It's a noble quest because you know what, DC in the 90s was pretty solid, and it wasn't until like maybe the mid 2000s where they started to really muck with things to the point where it's like, no, this is not fun anymore. This is from Brian Michael Bendis, and let's see, who's doing the art on this thing? John Timms, Chris Anka, and Evan Doc Shaner. Anyway, they're still stuck in Gem World. They're all together now, which looks really good. The art's nice and gorgeous. There's some fancy bit of dialogue here between some of the characters as they're moving to their next location, where they're attacked by Opal. And then we cut quickly to the Hall of Justice. 2 days ago, this whole thing's been going on for 2 days. I love comic book time. And let's see, Tim and Stephanie Brown are greeted by Satana, and they have a meeting. And Tim's been having this weird kind of feeling about something. He wants Satana to go into his mind and see if there's anything that needs to be unlocked. And sure enough, she finds Tim's previous continuity with the Young Justice. Like, he doesn't even know about Connor. And it's the thing that kind of sets him off in this quest. That's why he's in Metropolis. I know there was a lot of question when issue 1 came out. Like, what's Tim Drake doing in Metropolis? And that was the plan. That's what kind of got him there. Cut back to the present, where they're fighting Opal, and he is threatening Connor with some kryptonite, and he's all excited and happy about this little turn of events until, he remembers that, this team has a speedster present. So he just whips by and takes it out of his hands and runs it like maybe miles and miles away, and he's in big trouble about that. So they kind of win the day there for the moment. We do cut back to that scene between Tim and Stephanie before he takes off. And I love this scene. This dialogue is excellent because he's telling her, like, I'm really relieved to see that you were such a big part of my previous life. And I'm really happy about that. And it's really touching. I love that scene. This is really good. I'm liking this one at 5 out of 5 Ram Chips. Also, Marvel Team Up number 2. And this is SpiderMan and Ms Marvel. This is from E. Buing and Joey Vasquez. Okay, last we left our heroes, they were switched bodies due to an experiment that the Jackal was trying to steal, and it blew up in their faces and switched their bodies. It's great. Every bit of dialogue, every bit of exchanging, any kind of well-done joke you can do with body switching, specifically Spider-Man and Ms Marvel, is done here. They don't know how each other's powers work. They immediately go and figure out who each other are. She knows who Peter Parker is, so when she pulls off the mask, she's like, oh my god, it's Peter Parker. And then, of course, Peter pulls off her mask, which, like, it is one of those kind of, like, domino mats, like, oh, look, it's me. Like, oh, yeah, we know it's you. Anyway, they start to get, start talking, getting along, and they have to kind of fool people. Like, they have to fool Bruno in a pretty funny and awkward scene. Stephanie doesn't know, not Stephanie, excuse me. Kamala doesn't know how Peter Parker's spider sense works, so she's bumping into everything. And, they have, like, scenes with the family. The next morning comes and they decide, okay, maybe we should just enjoy this day. We both want to kind of do a thing. Like, she wants to be an adult and he wants to be a kid again, so they kind of decide to enjoy the day. It doesn't quite go the way they think. Like, Kamala has to deal with, like, student loans and job interviews, and Peter Parker has to deal with racism and cramps. So that's great. It's Spider-Man's first period. And I love the scene where someone says something racist to her. Like, she bumps into another girl in the hallway, and her friend says, hey, don't start a jihad over her. And this, okay, keep in mind, Peter Parker is a young white guy who is now in the body of a young Muslim girl. This is the first time he's ever had that kind of thing directed to him specifically, and it's kind of funny seeing his reaction. He goes, whoa, that is racist. And I like that. Feels like, yeah, that's what it's going on. And they have that conversation in the next scene. Like, yeah, hey, welcome to the body of a teenage girl. And also, he tells her, like, look, I dealt with bullies, but that was really different. And she goes, yeah, it's what I deal with every day. And I was hoping they'd kind of touch on some of that material, because they are very different people, and they don't disappoint. This is really good. And then, of course, they try to thwart some robbers, and they still suck at each other's powers. But they finally go back to try and find the scientist who was responsible for the tech that switched their minds, and she's been kidnapped by the Jackal, who still wants that thing. This is a lot of fun. Excellent. I enjoyed the hell out of this. Definitely check this book out. I loved the whole Marvel team-up thing in the past, and I love these two characters, and they have such a great rapport. This is wonderful. 5 out of 5 Ram Chips. Now let's finish up with Justice League, and we still got going on that huge, giant, epic thing with Dimensions and the Source Wall and Luthor and the Bat guy who laughs and alternate realities, and it's a lot to take in. This is from Scott Snyder and George Jimenez, and I'll be honest, like, if I didn't find this story interesting, I would still pick this up on George Jimenez's art alone. It's absolutely gorgeous. It, you know, it has what I loved about the best of 90s art without being the worst of 90s art, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's bold and energetic, and it's, you know, he doesn't forget all the sloppy things from 90s art, like, you know, forgetting to put backgrounds and proportions and shit like that. No, it's beautiful. This is done right. Every page just pops, and that might have something to do with the colors too. Wonderful work. Anyway, Superman is kind of trapped in this void of nothingness. He's trying to get out. Batman is given the choice. Essentially, he's like, you know, the universe or Superman, and, you know, he's kind of having to deal with, like, trying to choose that. And meanwhile, the other heroes have been captured on this alternate apocalypse where the warden is Lois Lane, and she has, like, imprisoned them, but they are able to escape due to Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl's son, who's from this reality, and he is also basically kind of Gohan. Hopefully has a better story arc than Gohan. But they're able to escape, and they're picked up by the Legion of Doom with Darkseid driving. This is great. This is fun. I enjoyed this quite a bit. And, of course, we got a really, like, you know, pretty solid cliffhanger here on whether or not Superman's going to make it or not. We still don't know where the hell this all stuff going. I'm digging this stuff, even though it is a bit much. We're like 23 issues into this thing, and I don't know where the ending is on this. So I don't know. I'm still holding on for the ride. So this is really fun. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 round chips. So, hey, what was my comic book pick of the week? Well, it was none other than Marvel Team Up number 2. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's really funny. It's beautifully drawn. The interactions between SpiderMan and Ms Marvel is great, and I just can't say enough good stuff about it. It's a hoot. It's a hoot. Do we still say that? Yeah. Anyway, my pick of the week is Marvel Team Up number 2. So, hey, what did you pick up this week? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you buy the things I got? I don't know. Hey, leave a comment below and maybe we'll talk about it. You can also hit me up on social media stuff. Twitter, Facebook. You can support this channel on Patreon. And hey, YouTube notice videos is better if you like and subscribe and maybe hit the notification bell. They pay attention to that stuff, so if you do me a favor, I'd appreciate it. So, I think that's it. Push the button, Lindsay.